All right. Hello, class, team. All right. So, welcome to our second session of the mentorship program. All right. Today, we're going to dive into reading the site plan. Okay. I'm actually going to pull up another property besides what we discussed last time. Last time, we dealt with the basement lot. Now, I'm taking us across the street and we're going to look at the actual lot, which is not a basement lot. And I'm going to share some videos with you throughout the process. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to discuss site plans, how to read the site plan, how we choose a property for our buildable area. We touched on some of this, and the components of a site plan, something that's very interesting that you need to know. So let's get started. All right. I'm sharing the screen here. So we went with the property across the street from the basement lot. Now I want you to look at this because these are all things we touched on before. Okay. Notice this. Notice this right here. Let me increase it a little bit. So when you look at this lot across the street, we're gonna quickly run through some things about this lot. One, we see there's some trees on here. Okay, let's take note of that. There's some trees on here on the lot, right? What else do we see on this lot? We see a concrete washout area. What does that mean? Well, this is actually the survey. Okay, we're going to lead into the site plan. This survey, when it was done, there was a concrete washout in this area already. The previous builder had actually done some building in the house, built some houses in a subdivision, and was using this area as his concrete washout. So when he finished pouring the concrete foundation, footings, driveway, the trucks would drive over here and they will wash out their concrete from the concrete trucks and leave it right here. All right. So that was noted. So once again, if you was to get a survey and you did not see the property, you would know, okay, there's a concrete washout over here. All right, we notice we have a 22-foot setback. All right, because this is our property layout. We've gone over that already in the previous example. This is the entire property. Okay, the entire property. Now, what else do we say about the property? What key things did we talk about? We talked about the buildable area right here. And we're going to address this area before we go into the site plan. Our buildable area, we said that our setbacks, 22 feet, 7.5 feet, 7.5 feet, 20 feet, helps establish our buildable area. All right, so what does that mean? Well, we're going to discuss that. So let's look at it. Right now, if we go to the front of the street and we look at rebar to rebar, we are at roughly 80 feet right here. From here to here, it's showing we have an area of 80 feet. Okay, 80.42 feet for that matter. All right, so 80.42 feet. That's the distance we have from here to here. All right, so that means from 80.42 feet, we have a setback of 7.5 feet right here and 7.5 feet right here. So 7.5 feet and 7.5 feet, that's 15 feet. So if we take 15 feet from 80 feet, that's going to give us 65 feet. Okay, so that means we're going to have 65 feet of buildable space across here. All right, that means we have 65 feet. Well, let's look at here. Let's look how deep this lot is. Well, this lot is 154 0.08 feet on one side, and then 150 feet, let me, and 150 feet on the other side. All right. So with that said, we have this much depth. That's how deep we can go. That means from the front of the lot all the way to the back of the lot, we have that much room. Well, what are the setbacks? The front setback is 22 feet. 22 feet. And the rear setback is 20 feet. At 20 feet, what does that tell us? That means that on one side, on this side here, the 154 feet, we are literally going to be 110 feet. This area right here, from here to here, it's 110 feet. Okay. And then when we go to this side, from here to here, well, there's like a 4-foot difference. So we're going to be at 114 feet. So that means any property that we choose, any house that we choose to put here, it cannot exceed 65 feet across, and it cannot exceed 110 or 114 feet in depth. All right. That is our standard. That is our limitations. That's our restriction. So long as the property we choose falls within those parameters, we can put it on this lot. Okay. What's the other thing that we learned about this particular property that we talked about in the last one? We talked about the elevation, the contours that we see, the elevation from the topographical map. So what do we see here quickly? Well, let's look at it. We know here we have right here at the top. Let me get to that right here. We have a finished floor elevation or a street elevation of 786. Okay. Now, how does this property lay out? Which direction is it flowing in? Well, we're 786 here. As we move back towards the property, we have 787 here. We're going up a foot. As we move further down, we have 789. It's 3 feet. As we go, we are 790. You see what's happening here? Okay, it's going up. 791, 792, 93. So what does that mean? That means this property is gradually increasing towards the back. It's going increasing towards the back. So we're sloping towards the back. It's a good thing because that means that our property now is draining down. All right. So when we get to the back, what are we looking at here? 800. Our elevation is 800. So from 800 all the way to the 780, where am I at? The 800 to the 786, we are literally sitting at roughly 14 feet. So from the front of the lot to the back of our lot, it's about 14 feet. Okay. Now, naturally, it's not 14 feet all the way through. It's just, it starts here and it gradually goes up and it ends up at 14 feet. But somewhere towards the back of our lot, we're definitely at the 10-foot mark. Definitely. 10 foot, 9 foot, 8 foot. That's what we're looking at from the back of our lot all the way here. Okay. So with that said, we're going to go into the site plan. I do want to skip to the house that we're going to choose first. Okay. Let's look at the house. So this is the plan for the house. This is the site plan for the other one. Let's look at the building plan. Let's follow along here. So in this particular building plan, all right, and we're not concerned about the second floor right now. We're concerned about the first floor, basically our footprint, our foundation. Okay, so our first floor will be our footprint of the house. Well, beautiful house plan, but let's look at it. We have roughly 36 feet, 11 inches. We're going to round it up. We're going to say we got 37 feet, roughly here, 37 feet. Okay, and then from here we have So 37 feet roughly from here to here. You see that? 36 feet, 11 inches. I'm going to call it 37 feet. Then you come here and you're out another 4 feet. How do you know? It tells you right here. From here to here, it says 4 feet. So we're going to add 4 feet to this 37 feet. All right. And what else are we going to add to that? 37 plus 4. That's 41. What else are we going to add? Well, we got this side. 12 feet. We have 12 feet, 4.5 inches. I'm just going to call it 12.5 feet. Okay. So if we take the 12.5 feet plus the 4 feet plus the 37 feet, we're going to end up at, call it 53.5 feet. Let's call it that. If you recall, we said earlier, based on the site plan, so long as we were under 65 feet or within that margin, we're good. So at 53.5 feet, we're definitely good. Okay, you follow along? All right, so from here to here, we're about 53.5 feet. So we're far within our boundaries of the 65 feet. Now let's look at the depth of this, how long this property is. Well, if we go here and we start from back here, and I'm going to go to this line and work our way all the way down to past where the garage is right here. This plan is telling us we're what? We're 59 feet right here. 59 feet. If you recall, okay, our 59 feet, that's how deep we are, how long we are. On our survey, we located our buildable area and said that at least one side we have to be 110 feet, one side 114 feet, but we're going to go with the shorter side, 110 feet. So at 65 feet, we are well within our boundaries. So this plan will be perfect because it fits the width and it fits the length. All right. So now you know this is what we're going to use. So once we get this plan and it fits that, we're good to go. All right. Problem solved. Back to the site plan that we're about to discuss. So that building plan is going to fit here. All right. What else do you see? Because we said we got to pay attention to the survey. What's back here? It says there's an underground fiber optic line. Okay. It's an underground fiber optic line. One thing to point out, before we do any land disturbance on the property, we have to call the do not dig line. That is the 811 number. So like emergency, you dial 911. For construction, you dial 811. You probably heard it advertised before. They call that the do not dig line or call before you dig number. You call that number before you dig. If you dig somewhere and you hit something that you shouldn't hit, like some cable, some gas line, some electrical line, the fines are hefty. Ask me how I know. All right, so you don't want to do that, and also it's being a responsible builder. So knowing this, that also made us aware to be able to call these things in and verify all this stuff. So when you call 811, they will come out and they will do all of that. They will do all that verification for you. Okay. Also, you see there's a Georgia Power Company easement back here. Okay. That's because at the back of the property, far back at the back of the property, Georgia Power has a line. They have some power lines overhead running through. So they have themselves a 200-foot easement. It doesn't affect us because we're far from it, but part of that easement is here. And so they have that area. Now, it goes through the back of this lot. It doesn't mean this isn't your property. This is still the property, but it just means that you cannot put your house in this area because you can put a fence. You can put a fence. In some cases, you can even put a driveway. Actually, you can. You can put concrete there, but you cannot put a permanent structure as a house in that easement. Okay? That's how it works. When there's a Georgia Power easement, it's yours, but you cannot put a physical structure there like a permanent structure like a house. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. Now, this one is showing you, we're getting to the site plan. This is actually part of the site plan. This is like the plan prior to where you put the property on the map. So we're looking at this. We know we have the concrete washout. And what is this? Install silt fence. Okay, install silt fence. So this here is your silt fence. We're going to discuss that. What is a silt fence? The silt fence is that black fabric that you see when you go to construction sites. And I'm going to share some video with you, and you'll see they have some black material surrounding the property. Usually it's about maybe 3 feet high. It is to prevent silt, dirt, from leaving your site and washing out onto the street. All right. So they ask you to install silt fencing to cover where you're going to be doing work on the property to prevent silt from coming out onto the street, disturbing the area, disturbing the neighbors. All right. And that silt fence is going to go all around your disturbed area. Okay. What else do we see here? Well, very, very key element right here. Install construction exit. In my video that I will share with you, you'll probably see where I say construction entrance pad. I always say that. Doesn't make it wrong. They have it here as construction exit. This is where anything, equipment, excavators, heavy equipment, dump trucks, even trucks, anything that's going to come and enter this area after you disturb it, they have to come through this. Okay. And I will show you the makeup of it. It is actually a geofabric, something that looks like the silt fence that goes down here first, and then aggregate goes on top. In this case, we put stone on top. Okay. I'll show you that. You see in the video. And that establishes your construction exit so that when vehicles, equipment come on here and there's dirt and mud here, when they're leaving, it will stop all of that mud from being tracked out into the street. So it minimizes that. And if you get mud and dirt in the street, you have to clean it up. Otherwise, the code enforcement or the environmental people they'll make you pay. Okay. They'll shut your job down. They will give you a stop work order. You don't want that. So we have on here, install the construction exit. Remember the last video we had, we discussed trees. And I mentioned that there will be recommendations to remove these trees. So these trees that are in our buildable area, we have to remove them. And these are where the engineer has located to say, remove existing tree. Okay, remove existing smaller trees in wooded area because there's a lot of smaller trees, underbrush, all here that have to be removed. Okay, very key thing to look at too. On this plan, notice this: install sod for permanent, and this is very key. I'm gonna tell you why. Right here, install sod for permanent stabilization. Per recorded plat, sod is required for all front, side, and rear yards. Some people build a house and they think they can put like seed and straw around the house and allow it to grow, and then they don't have to pay for that expensive sod. That's not the case. In some cases, you could do that. But in DeKalb County, okay, per what they have on the recorded plat, because this is an existing subdivision. This subdivision has rules, and their rules are every house that you build has to have sod on the front, the sides, and the back. So you don't get to do whatever you want to do. You have to bring sod. If you put seed and straw and let it grow, the county's going to make you clean all that up and install sod. That is the only way you would get your final inspections. All right. So we will move on from there. We talked about a silt fence. that's going to go around the buildable area. We talked about, let me talk about this too. Nope, we're going to leave that. We're going to talk about the tree save. What is the tree save? You will see that on the video as well. The tree save, you see this tree over here? Let's go over here real quick. You see we're removing all these trees, right? But then, remember last video I told you there are some trees that the county is going to recommend you keep. So the survey engineer, based on what the county would do, left these trees and showed that we are leaving some trees on here. And it's up to the county to approve it or deny it. In our case, they approved it. Okay. So he puts on here install tree save right here because this tree, we're going to have silt fencing around the house, around the property, but this is the tree save line right here. Right here. So it's a orange, it looks like an orange silt fence. And it just goes in the front of the tree to cover the critical root zone of the trees. Okay, so this won't be touched, these won't be touched, these won't be touched. These are 15-inch oak, 10-inch oak. You're not going to kill those trees. You have no reason to. So, and if you want to remove them, you have to get a special permit from the county and they don't have to approve it. Okay, so the tree save will go back here. All right, with that said, let's move on to the next. Boom, here you have it. This, people, is your site plan. All right, the previous shot that I gave you was part of your site plan because it showed what you're going to do. It showed where your construction entrance or your construction exit will be. It was right over here. All right. It showed you several things. The concrete that had to be removed. Let me show you again. It showed you this concrete washout that I explained to you what that was. What did it say? Remove existing concrete washout. So that also had to happen. All right. So now we're here. This is your site plan. What do we see in our site plan? The house plan that I showed you. Okay. It says new 2-story frame house. See architectural plan. Well, I showed you the plan. This is the plan. All right. And we'll go into details in the next video. But for this video, we're discussing the site plan. And we said we need the footprint of this house. All right. And when you see this, you will notice that it is the footprint of the house. It's the footprint, just like we said, the footprint of the house. We went from across here, it was 37 feet. We went from here, it was 4 feet. We went from here, it was 12 and a half feet. So we knew that we were well within the confines of our buildable area. We are there. And then we also knew that we were deep enough, but we definitely have plenty more space from the back of our buildable area. Okay, so the house, when you take the footprint and sit it here, it is there. What else does our site plan show us? It shows us our driveway, how our new driveway is going to go. We're going to have a curved driveway coming from the street, curves into here. It's going to back up and it's going to have a turnaround, a little right here that allows you to back out and turn around and go forward. All right. What do we have here? Let me move this. We have install new driveway apron per DeKalb County standards. So you're going to pour a driveway construction apron that you will enter the lot with. You also have install new 5-foot concrete sidewalk. We're going to install a sidewalk here, connecting to this side and connecting to the end of our property. Okay, so we have a 5-foot sidewalk that will be installed. What else? Remember, we have our buildable area, which we stated. Just because you have a buildable area does not mean that you're going to get to disturb that whole buildable area. It doesn't work that way. Okay. If you look at it, we have a lot area of 15,840 square feet. 15,840 square feet is our lot area. However, the area that we are disturbing, when we go over here, disturbed area, your disturbed area right here is 9,600 square feet, roughly half of our lot. And it makes sense. If you look at it, it's roughly half of your lot. Okay. So we have the lot right here. Look how big our lot is. Look at our disturbed area. So it's about right. It's about roughly half of our lot area. So when they say disturbed area, this is the area that you can grade, disturb, clear things out. Now look at it here. See right here, disturbed area. That's your your disturbed area. This is outlined in the red or orange color. I say red right here, all the way around. Okay, all the way around. This is your disturbed area. So we are allowed to disturb all this area, everything here. What can we not disturb? We cannot disturb anything that's covered and blocked off. So we are able to put our silk fence, what I mentioned to y'all here. Our silk fence will cover this whole area, and you'll see it in the video. We'll cover the silk fence here. And then what else do we have? The tree save. The tree save will go behind the silk fence here to protect these trees. We're going to protect these trees, and we're going to go right behind the silk fence and follow that through and end right there. All right. So that is what you're going to do. As I said, this is your new tree line. So everything from here is protected, and we will not be allowed to disturb or touch it. Okay. What did I tell y'all before? I said that when DeKalb County or any municipality, when they allow you to remove trees, like those trees that we removed from the earlier screenshot, we remove all those trees, it is mandatory that we plant back some trees. Okay, so DeKalb County actually, in this prescription, per what DeKalb County wants, the engineer knew that, and the engineer decided to plant 2 trees. Okay, we got 2 trees right here, river birch trees, and they are what? 2 inches. All right, so I want to say something about it. It says install 2 of these 2-inch river birch trees. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because you see 2 inches, you're thinking 2 inches, that's just a little, yeah. 2 inches, that's the diameter. It's not much, but I promise you, when it comes time to plant those things, you're going to respect those 2 inches. Pause. But it's like this. You have the roots of these trees are so big and heavy. You know, I remember we had to plant some of these before, and I thought it was nothing big. No big deal. They said, okay, we got to get a couple of 1.5-inch and 2-inch trees. Man, when we brought that thing, it took a trailer to bring it, and it took 4 of us to handle this stuff, to go and plant them. So they're heavy. So don't get it twisted. When you see these are some small trees, but heavy trees. Those of you that don't deal with plants and stuff, you may not know. Okay, so that's just for your knowledge there. But they're going to be planted here per the plans. Otherwise, the county will not sign off on us. Okay, what else do we see here? We have right here the county saying we're going to have provide positive drainage around the house. So being that we're already sloping down towards the street, all right, we're going to have to grade this for the water to fall out this way and go to the front, and to fall out this way and go to the front. So they want the drainage to fall around the house and go towards the front. This is also very key. We want to do proper drainage. We know we can't disturb here. And we know that at this point, this property is about at least 10 feet high by the time we get to this point. So on this particular land, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the equipment and we're going to cut this property down. We're going to actually we'll be 10 feet here, but we're going to cut probably 4 feet out of this whole buildable area and drop it down. We're going to slope this part down, Where the silt fence is going to be where we can't disturb. We're going to slope it down by cutting it down to reduce the height we have to climb from the front of the house towards the house. We don't want a super steep driveway. Okay, we want something that's manageable. So we're going to cut all this down about 4 feet. That way we just have a nice, smooth, gradual slope going out and on the sides of the property. All right. Okay, so that's what we have there. What else do we have? So these are things that's gonna make a difference when you're dealing with the city or the county. All right, you're gonna also have on here the let's see. Besides the drainage system, it was something I wanted you to see. There's gonna be this when you go apply for a permit. They're gonna want to know all of this. What is your lot area? Okay. What is the total impervious area? Well, what is that? What is your total impervious area? What's an impervious area? So basically, these are the areas where you can say water won't penetrate. Okay, impervious, you cannot penetrate it. So it's like, what does that mean? Well, anywhere where you have concrete on the property is your impervious area. So we're looking at from the driveway, we're looking at all of this. We're looking at this 10-foot driveway. Okay, we got a 10-foot concrete driveway, and it tells you here, this is how wide your driveway is. You got a 10-foot concrete driveway. You got a 5-foot sidewalk spanning this length of about 80 feet here. Then you got this driveway coming all the way here and then going into here. That is an impervious area. So when you look at the impervious area, your lot coverage, what happens? Driveway is 1,059 square feet. Okay. And then they look at the house. They look at the entire layout of your house because this is going to be concrete. This is going to be your foundation. So when they look at the house, which includes your covered porch, you got 2,018 square feet for your house and garage. And then you have your covered porch area right here, about 32 square feet. So it takes all that into account, and then they add it, and the county wants to know, what is your new impervious area? When you add it all up, you're going to have 3,109 square feet. Okay. So you basically just have about, based on your total lot area, your lot coverage, you're only covering 19.6% of your total lot. These are important numbers because depending where you are in the county, they have limitations of how much percentage you can have for your lot coverage. Okay. And this is what your impervious area is. And you will need these numbers when applying for a permit because the county wants to know before they even look at your property to see that you fit everything in here. So this being the case, once again, we know we have the fiber here, so we have to call it in. That is really your site plan. So let's talk about the other phase of this thing. We talked about the silt fence. Okay. In the video, you're going to see that I have silt fence, but I used a different type of silt fence. I used the type C-pop. We call it C-pop. It has like some kind of backing on it. So it's more for sensitive areas where, water may drain and dirt may drain more and slide more. So you want something with some backing. But for the most part, we only have type A or type B silt fencing, which is your typical silt fence that would allow water to come through, but it will stop the silt. And it's not in areas that are too sensitive, so it's not like it's going into by a buffer area, something that's going to go into state waters, sensitive areas. You don't have that. And you don't have an area that's like, we call it sensitive when it's a lot of flow that can, come down and silt that can erode and disturb, like state waters and things like that. So in this case, we have type A and type B. He recommended we use type A. Your basic silt fencing is cheaper, but I opted to go with type C, the C pop rather, because it's the more durable one and it proved to be good. Then we talk about our construction exit. If you don't know what it is, it tells you how to do it. It tells you right here. Well, we don't have to put a covert under there, so we'll discuss that later. But basically, the main thing to worry about is that you need a geotextile underliner, something that goes under the ground or goes on the ground first, and then you need a coarse aggregate. In this case, we use number 57 stone. Okay, so they have here 1.5 inch to 3.5 inch coarse aggregate. We have number 57 stone, and you'll see it. And normally that's fine. Sometimes people use different ones, but that's what you pour over it, and that's the minimum you need to get by. Okay, so you'll see it. The textile liner, they give you the elevation of it. The textile liner that goes down first, and then the coarse aggregate goes on top of it. And they're looking at all the spacing you need to have. Let's discuss your silt fence. Now, on the silt fence, when you dig the trench to install the silt fence, this is what they want. Okay, they want you to be at least 6 inches deep into the ground. I always do 8. I do the 6. I do 8 inches. That's when you're in there. Nobody can argue about anything. It's going to be very stable, but your required minimum is 6 inches. And if you're not 6 inches into the ground, if they come up there and they can pull up that silt fence, if they can see daylight, they can see it's not covered, they will stop you and make you fix it. Ask me how I know. Okay, so you want to be 6 to 8 inches deep in the ground with the silt fence where it's buried, and then you've covered it. All right, so this gives you the detail that you need to know. Okay, and it's telling you that they want you to be at least 6 feet maximum on center for where your stakes are, where your fabric is, and the stakes. But they already come they come with stakes already in the fabric, so you're covered. You don't have to worry about that. Just know that you have to dig it down 6 inches deep, but I recommend going 8. Okay, so that, and yes, this is that tree I'm talking about. Don't get it twisted. That 2-inch tree, when you put it in there, this little root right here of it, this bottom piece is heavy. It's heavy. So that is your section. That is your site plan. And DeKalb County looked at it. They were fine with it. The engineer stamped off on it. And DeKalb says, okay, you're good to go. So this is your site plan. All right. So let's look at we're going to check out some videos on this, and then we'll discuss this more on the live, review it, come up with your questions. We're going to talk about the erosion control aspect of it. And in the live, we're going to talk about getting your blue card. What is your blue card? Do you need it? Why do you need it? I always carry mine. I have to, because at any given time, when they call me or if an inspector's on site and we're doing site work, and this has already happened, they're going to ask to see who is certified, who has their card, to show that you know what is going on. You know what the site should be doing. So this is the blue card. We call it a blue card. Okay. But it is this is a level 1A card for your erosion control. Okay. And if you're working on a site, new construction, GC, you need to have one. And some counties won't even let you touch anything, disturb the ground, unless you can show up with your blue card. Okay. So that is very important. And that is to deal with the erosion control, the sediment control, because it's very important. You got to protect the site from things leaving and going out. You could get in a lot of trouble with neighbors. You could get in trouble with the city, the state, the county. You don't want to mess around. So you need to understand the purpose of this, why we do it. Is to protect the waters. It's to protect our drain systems, protect you getting dirt and silt on your neighbor's yard. You wouldn't want that happening if somebody's building by you. Okay, so the blue card, the erosion control, we deal with the silt fence, we deal with the construction exit pad, we deal with the tree save, okay? And then you make sure that you're able to address the disturbed area so you're keeping dirt and silt from leaving your site. You have to contain everything within your site. All right, so that is your lesson for today, and we will continue again. All right, team. So as you can see from our site plan, we have the perimeter of the property. Well, when we get to the perimeter of the property, we are going to form a board. That's the first thing we do. We're going to form a board that's going to outline the perimeter of the property for the foundation. Okay, so what happens is, per our site plan, we're going to come in from the construction entrance, and then we're going to come all the way through, and then we're going to turn into the driveway. So what did we do? Our concrete subcontractors came in. We laid out everything. One thing that you're going to notice, let me show you right here. You probably see some blue. You see the blue stakes? You see the blue stakes? The blue stakes here, here. Okay, we'll discuss that more. Those are the stakes put on by the survey company. When we finish clearing the lot, they come out, and then they're going to actually, because how do we know where we're going to build? You recall in the previous video, or even in our live, I told you, we have people that built the houses the wrong way, the wrong orientation. So we called the survey company to come out. And what they're going to do is they're going to put stakes out. They'll put a stake like this and a stake like this. These are our house corners. A stake like this and a stake like this. So obviously we've moved it from here. What they'll do is they'll have a stake right here. Okay, and then they have a 5-foot offset right here and right here. So what you do is we pull from this 5 feet, and then we pull from this. You see it says 5 on it? We pull 5 feet, and it brings us to this corner. Likewise here, we pull 5 feet, we go that way, we pull 5 feet, we come that way, we get that corner. That was staked all around the property. And this is what they did. So then the concrete people come in, and then they will lay everything out, and then they will frame the perimeter of the house. This is your perimeter. This is your garage. This is your outside wall. Okay? They do all of this. This is what they do first. So this is the outline of the house. Turns, goes back there, goes all the way across. So all of this is the boxing of the house, getting ready to pour the slab. Okay, so this is what we do. We frame, we box it, and then it allows the next trades, like the plumbers, to come in and do what they have to do, because they have to measure off of the property layout as to where everything will go. All right, so for your site plan, once all the clearing is done, once we put all the erosion control up, the silt fencing, and the construction entrance, once we have all that done, and then we'll grade it out, then they're going to come in and we're going to form the box for the construction area. And then everything moves beyond that. All right. Over here, we have the same thing. Everything is staked out with offsets, but we got to come and cut down that land some more. So we'll discuss that more when we get into the building aspect of this curriculum. But for now, for what we need to do, we know that we have the erosion control. We have the property boxed out per the site plan. All right. Okay. And then we see the trees. The trees saved. See some of the trees weren't taken down. There's a reason for it. All right. We'll discuss all that. All right. All right. So one of the key things we're going to look at on the land is our silt fence for erosion control. If you look all through here, there's black silt fence. It goes all around the property. All around the property. Okay. So the silt fence is supposed to be what stops the silt, any dirt, the dirt from washing down. This stops it from coming out and pouring into the street. Okay, so the silt fence has to be installed. It's on our site plan. You're going to see it on our site plan. Okay, and it covers the perimeter of the property. Now, if you will look, there's a couple of things. Right here, this silt fence has to be minimum 6 inches buried into the ground. So we dig a trench, we bury it in, and then we cover it back up. It's rained a few times here, so you can see whereas the rain has brought the dirt up against the silt fence. It wasn't that high. It was actually much lower. But as the silt comes, it makes it higher. The silt keeps getting higher. So it stops the dirt from coming out and then not going into the neighbor's yard. So this is what we have here. And one thing about the silt fence, we came to reinforce. You see how deep these are. You see how deep these are. A lot of rain came. It washed everything down. And so some even came through this. So we have to come in here and put another piece around it to reinforce it. Okay. Now, according to our plans, we have to have a tree save. Okay. So the tree save is the orange one. The orange one doesn't have to be buried deep. It's just something that covers. It covers and protects. It protects the tree, the root areas of the tree. It covers it, and then it goes all around behind the silt fence. The silt fence is to cover the erosion. The tree save is to protect the root areas of the tree so that we don't disturb it. And all our work will be done within the silt fence area. And there's different types of silt fences. Our plan actually just called for a regular type A silt fence, but this is a C-pop silt fence. It's almost like the silt fence that you see that has the wire backing. There's a reason for that. This C-pop is actually one of the best ones you could use because it gives it strength. So for critical areas like these, like this area where the dirt is coming, that backing, that C-pop reinforced silt fence is the best because it gives it the additional strength so that when the silt fence is coming down there, it can protect it and stop this. When the silt is coming down, it can protect and stop the silt. But for all other purposes, our plans call for type A. Type A is least expensive. However, the type C is what I always prefer to go with, just in case. So in this case, you can see things are coming down, and therefore we want the enforcement to stop it, to stop the silt fencing. Okay? All right. Oh, one other thing. Whenever you're doing construction in an area where there's a storm drain, let's say. Let me show you real quick. So as you can see,
We have the silk fence all along there, all along here. Silk fence in the middle. Okay. Silk fence in the middle. Whenever there is, whenever there's a drain, and I will show you the drain. Whenever there's a drain, this is the stormwater drain right here. So whenever there's a stormwater drain in any of your construction areas, you have to put this thing here. People call it different names, but it's basically something to stop the silt from coming off and then going into the storm system, which then, you know, that one is not allowed. You can get fined for that. So you definitely got to stay out of the storm drain area, and that's where we are. So this is all part of our erosion control. Now the next thing that you're going to notice on our site plan is we have a construction entrance. Our construction entrance, we have one here on this lot. We have one there on the other lot. The construction entrance is made up of a fabric. Okay, see this fabric? It's almost like the silk fence fabric. We're made up of this fabric. This fabric goes down first, and then we pour stone on it. These are number 57 stone. They have different stones, different sizes, but we use number 57 stone, and then we got like a truckload of that, and then we pour it. So we put the barrier down, and then we pour the gravels to cover the construction entrance area. It prevents us from bringing dirt or silt onto the roads. So when trucks come in, like heavy equipment or other trucks come in to the construction site, they drive, like when we're going to pour concrete or anything else, they will drive on this construction pad, and then they will leave on this construction pad, and this will basically capture a lot of this silt. So that takes care of your silt fence and your construction pad. That is for your erosion control and your tree save.